Hello and welcome to my NCAA Top 25 Saturday predictions. First video in a really long time, like 11 days to be exact. I just stopped making videos. So I'm back making more. Let's get straight into it. Liking and subscribing helps. All right, first game. Probably one of the competitors for the game of the week. Although Texas A&M did just lose to Mississippi State, Alabama right now is in a position. I mean, they've secured the SEC. I think if Texas A&M didn't lose to Mississippi State and they won that game, right now Alabama would be in a position to lose the number one spot in the conference. But Alabama took that stupid loss to Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a good team, but honestly, with so much on the line like that, just losing to them is really poopy. But this is still a major game for Texas A&M. Honestly, this win would be so massive for their profile in March Madness and what people believe, what people think of them as. And honestly, I mean, it's at Texas A&M. You're going to have that. You're just going to have that atmosphere and so much against Alabama. And even though, with all that being said, that it seems like one of the most obvious choices would be to favor A&M. I'm not going to favor them quite yet because Alabama, even though they've had some bad losses and some really sketchy games, Alabama is still a good team, still a very, very good team. After all, the number one team in the country is Houston, and Alabama beat them at Houston. And there's plenty of other games where Alabama has shown what they are capable of. They beat Michigan State when Michigan State. I mean, that you could take that one however you want. Me personally, I'll take Alabama beating the crap out of Michigan or Michigan State as a very good win because I believe Michigan State is much better than what their record is. They got their butt kicked by UConn, but that was when UConn, one, was very hot, and two, UConn is not a bad team at all. They're just struggling right now. They're struggling to compete against the bad teams, honestly. They have every little bit of strength and power in their team to beat every single team they play. They're just struggling. They're the ones beating themselves. Alabama had that 2-point victory against, at the time, number one North Carolina. Now that looks like a much worse game, but for overtime, I mean, that was just, for both of those teams, very important. That was a very important game for both of those teams. So it could have been very different than it is now. But, honestly, that one doesn't look as good as some of the other games. Then Alabama beats Houston at Houston, who was number one at the time. They barely beat Memphis, it's sketchy, but I believe Memphis is a very good team and much better than what their record says. Then they lose, I don't know if that is at Alabama. I think this is an invitational. No, I don't know. Gonzaga at Alabama. We'll just say at Alabama. Gonzaga beats them. That just, to me, looks like a poopy loss. Although I do believe Gonzaga... Sorry for the mic noise. I do believe Gonzaga is a good team. Just to lose, number 4 versus number 15. Gonzaga has had much sketchier losses and whatnot. It just doesn't look like that good of a loss. Alabama at Mississippi State, when Mississippi State was ranked and doing really well. They beat the crap out of them. They beat Ole Miss, beat Kentucky, beat Arkansas at Arkansas. I get Arkansas isn't ranked now, but I do believe Arkansas is a much better team than what their record is. Absolutely, the 40-point game against LSU, beat Vanderbilt, beat Missouri, barely beat Mississippi State, but they beat them. And then you get slaughtered by Oklahoma. Terrible loss, just terrible, horrible loss. Because Oklahoma right now, I think they are the worst team in the Big 12. Although, again, if you watch any of my videos, I believe Oklahoma is a much better team than what their record is. But to get slaughtered like that as the number 2 team in the country, 93-69, just to get beat like that that's a horrible loss. But then they bounce back and beat Vanderbilt by 57 points. I mean, wow. Then they beat LSU. Then they beat Florida. Then they beat Auburn at Auburn. I'm going to sneeze. Yes. and then they travel to Tennessee and take a loss. That to me, you know what? The committee loves Tennessee and whatnot, so a loss at Tennessee really shouldn't hurt Alabama that much. And Tennessee, after all, is actually a pretty good team. I just don't think Tennessee is top 10 worthy. I think they're a good team, but I think they should stay out of the top 10. Maybe even like number 10. Number 10 might be a good spot for them. But to say that Tennessee's like a top 5 team or something like that, I think that's too much. They're not it. Then they slaughter Georgia. Then they barely beat South Carolina in overtime at South Carolina. And then they barely beat Arkansas at Alabama. So recently it's gotten sketchy. And then in overtime, they barely beat Auburn. So, I mean, this could go two ways. The streak of barely winning games for Alabama could end right here, and Texas A&M could beat them, or Alabama can snap back into place with the blessings of 3 wins against not very good teams or teams that you're better than, and then they beat Texas A&M to finish off the season. I do believe Alabama is the best team in the country when they put their shit together, but Texas A&M is probably, like, for me, in the top 10. As crazy as it sounds, I believe Texas A&M is a top 10 school. And they just got beat up early in the season. They've bounced back so strong since then. And I just don't know if they can do it. I don't know if the hype and the atmosphere will be enough. Alabama, when they put their shit together, they are truly otherworldly. They're a very, very good team. I would say, I don't know I don't know what's going on. Is there like a scandal or something, or like an investigation going on against Alabama? I don't really know what's going on there. I don't know if that affects this game in any way, but just keep in mind, I don't know anything about that. My prediction is entirely not with any like stuff outside of basketball. I don't know what's going on there. Iowa State at Baylor. I believe Baylor will they will have a hard time with Iowa State, because Iowa State, I mean, once ranked number 11 and just walking over the Big 12, doing very well. Now they're 17-12. They've taken some super horrible losses to I wouldn't say bad teams, but bad teams in the Big 12. I mean, they barely lost. All right, well, that's way far back. That's in January. The first bad loss started at Texas Tech. But then they bounce back and beat Kansas. Then they lose at West Virginia. Then they lose to Oklahoma State at Iowa State. But then they beat TCU. Lose at Kansas State. Get beat pretty good at Texas. And then lose at home to Oklahoma. That's another bad one. They just went on a horrible losing streak. They beat TCU inside of the lose. It really started against West Virginia. Lose at West Virginia. I won't beat you up for that. But lose at home to Oklahoma State, that's not a good loss at all. Beat TCU, that's a very impressive win considering TCU just beat Kansas. Kansas State, that's a toughie. You know, you stayed within 6 points. I'd say you gained more than you lost from that. Get slaughtered at Texas, won't beat you up, but you got slaughtered. So, and then you finish it off with a loss at home to Oklahoma, and that's just not good. You can't. The only game I'll really favor Oklahoma in is if it's at Oklahoma. If Oklahoma's at your stadium, you just can't lose that game. And so far, from that, Iowa State was number 13. They were 16-6. Kansas was 18-5. Iowa State was looking to be one of the better teams in the league, and then they took 1 loss, 2 loss. 3 loss, 4 loss, 5 loss. Oh, I didn't even see this one down here. They lost at Iowa State to West Virginia as well. That's even worse than the Oklahoma loss. You can't lose to West Virginia at Iowa State. West Virginia's good, but not that good. I could understand Oklahoma more than West Virginia, but man. So they took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses right there, and They went from 16-6 to 17-12, and they're currently unranked. And one of the worst teams in the Big 12. They're 1 game off of being even with Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State takes that, right? They'll go above Iowa State. That's pretty crazy. Iowa State has to play at Baylor. I don't see them winning. Let's see what Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State plays at Texas Tech. That might be a toughie for them. But if they can pull that off, if they can win that, then I believe Iowa State falls below Oklahoma State. And that would be a sad, sad turnaround. So it is in Iowa State's best interest to play as tough as they can. And I'm giving them a close game because I get Baylor's a very good team. And Baylor is probably going to beat this team up pretty good. But Iowa State's got to have some incentive to play well. I mean, these last weeks have been horrible for them. And if they want to make a statement, they have to get something done. Seton Hall at Providence. Providence beat down. Providence beat down. Seton Hall is not that good. They're 16-14. They're not that good. Providence is 21-9, looking to make a statement. This would be a pretty good win for them. And honestly, I just don't see Seton Hall going at Providence and just pulling off an upset win like that. Providence is favored by 8. I give them 12. St. John's at Marquette. Isn't it crazy that Marquette is number 6? Like, at the beginning of the season, they were, like, not even ranked. They were, like, a 5-loss team off the bat. Marquette is now number 6 in the country. Probably going to win the Big East. Although, it feels like a weird question. Do you guys really think Marquette will win the Big East? Because, me personally, I don't think so. Nor do I think they'll win March Madness. I think they're one of the best teams in the nation. I would put this team somewhere in like the top 4, actually. But no way in hell would I say Marquette would win March Madness or the Big East. I feel like it's just not going to happen. St. John's isn't a good team, but I say, you just got to think out of the box sometimes with these games. Like, I mean, anything can happen. So St. John's will give them a hard time or something. I don't know. Kansas State at West Virginia. West Virginia upset. They've done it before, and they'll do it again. It doesn't really make much of a statement for West Virginia. I think they are out of March Madness, and they are in third to last of the Big 12. But, I mean, at West Virginia, this just Baylor and Kansas State and Texas are all tied, Maybe they just want an upset. Maybe I think this will happen. I like West Virginia. I think if they could, again, I mean, this could be said for every team, but when this team gets their stuff together and starts getting their flow going, they could be a very good team. I'm not too sure about Kansas State. I haven't really watched Kansas State play a whole lot. This prediction could be entirely wrong. I'm just predicting an upset. Tennessee at Auburn, another upset. I don't really know. I wanted to make this like 54-50, but I feel like they just won't let another low-scoring game like that happen again. I mean, think about last low-scoring game. It was a 3-point game. Tennessee barely won, barely beat Auburn. Very defensive game and whatnot, but they barely won. I'm gonna say Tennessee's not gonna be so lucky. Although I am predicting the upset. But inside of me, I'm like, Tennessee's been taking some bad losses. I mean, 2 buzzer beater losses, lost to Texas A&M. They've been getting beat up in pretty poopy ways. So I'm like, maybe Tennessee will bounce back and beat Auburn. And when Auburn's not playing their best, shit can get ugly. Like, they will lose. They've lost games by quite a decent bit of points. Auburn is 19-11, so a win here would definitely be nice for Auburn. They would definitely want They would definitely want a win, but I don't really know. This one could go either way, honestly. Louisville at Virginia. Virginia now number 13, even though they are 22-6. Now, I believe Virginia is extremely overrated, but after all, they're 22-6, ranked at number 13, yo. Like, that's a little fucked up. Baylor's 21-8, ranked at number 7. I mean, Tennessee's got 2 more losses than them and the same amount of wins, and they're a spot ahead of them. Virginia lost to like some shitty team, right? They lost to some shitty team and went down they lost to North Carolina, and then they lost to North Carolina. Oh, they lost to North Carolina and Boston College. That's why. So, yeah, I kind of deserve that. You go down that many places. But I feel like now it is in Virginia's best interest to absolutely bounce back. And no better way to do it than finish off with a 4-win Louisville team by slaughtering them at Virginia. There should be no reason why this doesn't happen. Kentucky at Arkansas. Arkansas upset, buzzer beater, whatever. Close game, intense game, but Kentucky can't have nice things. And the moment they enter the rankings, Arkansas is going to kick them back out. I'm not too positive on this one. This one could honestly go either way. I feel like these are two very balanced teams with I don't know, do they have playoffs on the line? Or March Madness on the line. I'm not sure about these teams. Arkansas right now is 19-11, looking to make it 20-11, whereas Kentucky is 20-10, looking to make it 21-10. So I don't really know what happens in March Madness there. Although I do know Kentucky's third place in the SEC, whereas Arkansas is all the way down there. I don't even want to count. All the way down there. So this one could go either way. I feel like the environment, maybe the rivalry. I don't know. Is there a rivalry between these teams? I feel like there should be. Maybe the fans will be too loud, but I'm going to give it to Arkansas. Another upset, I'm going to give this one to Oklahoma solidly because, TCU they just beat Kansas, right? Or, I'm sorry, they beat Texas. I keep saying they beat Kansas. They beat Texas. All right, they beat Texas. Anytime I said they just beat Kansas, they beat Texas. So that's still a very good win, though. I feel like Texas and Kansas are two pretty balanced teams, relatively the same in skill and whatnot. I mean, honestly, both of their games, the Texas versus Kansas games, have to be whoever's at home. I believe the first one was at Kansas. Oh, that's right. That's actually a little bit of foreshadowing. That's one of our games today. So I'm going to give this one to Oklahoma. Finish off the season with a nice win against TCU. I believe, just again, when Oklahoma puts their stuff together, they're a very strong team, and TCU just can't have nice things. Beat a top 10 team and lose to the worst team in the Big 12. There it is. Kansas at Texas, baby. I don't even remember what I predicted for this one, but this is a very difficult game to predict. So last time these two teams met, it was at Kansas, Texas at Kansas. Kansas beat them up pretty good, I believe. Yeah. I believe it was like, I don't even remember, honestly. It was a weird one. 88-80. They didn't even beat them up. 8-point game, that's a pretty far point deficit, but 88-80, that's a tough game. That was a good game. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, this is like a perfect matchup. I don't remember what I predicted, but right now my gut is saying Texas. And I said Texas, yeah. I don't know how it's going to finish. I don't know. Maybe that's a buzzer beater. Imagine. That would be crazy. But, yeah, everybody's like saying Kansas. Can they back-to-back, Can they? Kansas is the best team in the country and whatnot. I like a lot of the lower-end teams. Obviously I like Alabama for the number one team, but I also like Marquette. I like Texas. I would want to say U of A, but U of A they struggle on defense sometimes. So, I mean, notice a lot of U of A's games are all high scoring. I believe that's actually our next game. So, yeah. Give this one to Texas. I don't really know. Nothing much to be said here other than this will be a fun match to watch. Let's see. What time is this one on at? Oh, I believe I skipped a game. Oh, I skipped Pitt at Miami. I'm going to give that one to Miami. Miami just took a bad loss. So Pitt at Miami. Miami's favored by 7.5. Miami will win. We'll just say like 75-70 because I do believe Pitt is a good team. Pitt deserves to be ranked. After all, they're like one of the top teams in the ACC. And Miami just, took one of the most devastating losses at Miami. So, yeah, they're going to bounce back. Butler at Xavier. Butler is not that good, but, again, you just got to predict close games with these low-end teams sometimes. It's just sometimes they play very well and the other team doesn't. UConn at Villanova. Give it to Villanova. I actually really like this Villanova team. Even though they're 16-14, doesn't look that good. They're pretty good. I mean, at Creighton, they lost by 5. They beat Xavier at Xavier. They beat Creighton. They beat Seton Hall at Seton Hall. They're on a win streak right now, and they look pretty good. I say, name a better way to finish off the season than with a win against UConn. And it feels like that is the trend for UConn, is to beat some really good teams and then just lose to bad teams. So I'm going to give it to Villanova, although it is a little difficult because UConn has been playing much better recently. They just went on a bad losing streak, and they've been playing much better. All right, this is also a competitor for the game. Wow, this is a week of basketball, isn't it? We got Kansas at Texas, U of A at UCLA, and then up here we have Alabama at A&M. I don't even know what the game of the week is. This is huge for the Pac-12, though. I mean, let's be real. These are the only two ranked teams in the Pac-12. Other than that, it is USC and then ASU, which are not even being considered to be ranked right now. USC just lost to U of A, so now they're not going to get ranked anymore. ASU just got killed by UCLA. So these are the two only ranked teams playing again. Last time they played at U of A won by 6 in such a low-scoring poop show. I'm not going to say it's going to go the same way. I feel like this will be a tight and tough competition. You know, what's that guy, like Jamie, or I don't know how to say his name. I forgot. Jamie Jaquez or something for UCLA. He's extremely good. And then you've also got Campbell for UCLA, who he just cannot miss. He is extremely good. Whereas for U of A, you've got that Azulas Tabules or something. Don't know how to say his name. He is extremely good. He is just having him on your team already puts you in a close game. For Campbell and Jaquez, I think that's how you say his name, Jaquez, versus Tabules, Tubelis. I don't know. It's so difficult to pronounce these people's names. Just come on. Yeah, I don't know, man. These guys are this is a very, very good matchup. And I'm going to give it to UCLA just because, one, they already lost to U of A, and two, it's at UCLA. It's going to be a full stadium. You already know. Finish off the season against the best possible opponent. This will be a great match. That's all that needs to be said. And then the last game, Wyoming at San Diego State. Nothing to be said here. Wyoming's not a good team. San Diego State's re-entering the rankings. Give them a fat victory. And that is all for this video. Again, liking and subscribing helps. Comment any video ideas because I don't really have a whole lot. I mean, as you could tell by the 11-day period in which I didn't post anything. You know, making prediction and review video while you have work and whatnot in school, it kind of gets a little difficult. You know, maybe if I had a little bit of motivation or something or an idea in my head, you know. The main reason I'm doing this right now is because this is probably the best basketball week ever this season. Not ever, but this season. I mean, outside of the top 25, I think we have Duke versus North Carolina. I mean, we've got some really, really good games this week. So I was like, just make this video. But besides that, that is all for me. Adios.